We are more than a week into Donald Trump's self-aggrandizing 250th Great American Fair, and it is safe to say things are not going very well for him. From the sparse attendance, to put it generously, to the many canceled events, today's delayed opening due to the heat, and the fair breaking down literally. New footage from the Daily Beast captures a portion of the event stage collapsing during rehearsals for tomorrow's performance. Spokesperson for Freedom 250 says that everyone is safe and that additional safeguards have been put in place. That is on top of Trump's triumphal arc oozing on unidentified yellow substance. Not sure exactly what that is. As Trump's fair crumbles before Independence Day has even begun, we are learning more about what that decaying facade is masking. A new congressional report details how the Trump team has potentially engaged in criminal fraud in order to hijack what was supposed to be a nonpartisan celebration of America. Well, the report, authored by Democratic congressional staff, is titled From Vanity to Insanity: How the White House Cheated the American People Out of Their 250th Birthday. Here is some of what that report says. Quote, under President Donald Trump, this anniversary has been hijacked and perverted into a hotbed of corruption and self-enrichment. This interim report documents how the machinery built for a national commemoration was converted deliberately and over a period of months into an apparatus for raising and spending money in service of the president's ego, political ideology, and pet projects. The White House first attempted to bend America 250 to its purposes when America 250 would not yield. The White House created a replacement, Freedom 250 LLC, a shadow organization capable of infiltrating the celebrations and injecting America's 250th with Trump's extreme partisan agenda. The new entity could exploit the credibility and donor relationships of a beloved public charity while operating outside the transparency and accountability requirements, Congress wrote. The authors of the report noted that the organization may have broken the law in order to change the nature of the event. They add this: Freedom 250 may have conducted wire fraud by luring unsuspecting donors who intended to support the congressionally chartered foundation and giving them Freedom 250 bank information instead. Presidential access was sold to those willing to pay for it. A spokesperson for Freedom 250 called the claims the report in the report, quote, categorically false and a, quote, partisan smear. I want to bring into this conversation our political panel. Political analyst and host of the Bulwark podcast, Tim Miller, is here. Also joining us, host of Politics Nation and president of the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton. But let's start with a member of the committee that actually released that report, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell of Michigan. Congresswoman, it's great to have you with us. This report is actually quite shocking. I don't think many Americans saw this. You know, there's not been a lot of reporting in the lead up to this that I've seen. Walk us through what you found and what you've concluded.
Well, what the staff that did the work in this and the committee found, there are two committees. In 2016, Congress passed the America 250th Committee, which was a bipartisan effort so that all of us can celebrate this. It is a very important and significant date. When the president returned and became president again, he tried to fire 4 people that were part of that commission. He didn't succeed, and then set up what is also known as Freedom 250, a separate committee. But they set up the funding of it through the National Park Foundation, which is a well-established foundation that has worked hard to build its own credibility and support the public parks over the years. And in addition, Congress had appropriated $150 million for the America 250 Commission. And in the end, keeping this long report short, instead of getting 150, that commission got 25 million, and the other 125 has gone other places. We don't know how the money is being spent. There are donors that thought they were giving to a bipartisan effort that ended up giving to Freedom 250. And there are many other stories of what's happened in Washington, and you've been showing some of it on MS this week.
Yeah, you mentioned the donors in all this, and I want to kind of hone in on that just for a moment because I want to read a section about potentially defrauding those donors in the report. It says, quote, donors who intended to donate to America 250 were instead given wire instructions with Freedom 250's banking information so that contributions would instead flow to Freedom 250, a gift solicited in the name of the nation's nonpartisan birthday commission could thus be redirected without the donor's knowledge by an entity created to serve the president's priorities. If true, such actions could constitute violations of several laws, ranging from potential wire fraud and charitable solicitation fraud under federal law to charitable solicitation violations under the laws of the District of Columbia, where Freedom 250 is registered and operates as an LLC. Do you intend on investigating this? Do you know if you've spoken to or reached out to any law enforcement agencies who might have oversight into or jurisdiction into where these laws may have been broken, like D.C., for example?
So let's be very candid here. Jared Huffman, who's the ranking member, is leading the effort here. And we know that based on what has happened, it would likely be the Justice Department that would have a responsibility over it. And I suspect we would not see action out of this Justice Department right now. We have a November election. Elections have consequences, and I think that you will see oversight of many issues if and when the Democrats do win the majority, which I believe we will in November.
Tim, this section from the introduction almost feels like a summary of the way the Trump administration operates writ large. Quote, licensing protocols let Freedom 250 brand deeply racist merchandise under the government's banner. An organization that was once responsible for planning events surrounding the January 6th insurrection has now been contracted for America's 250th celebrations. Taxpayer dollars were funneled to the president's preferred contractors. Americans' private personal information has been harvested by Trump's allies for political purposes. And so my question to you is, what does it say about how things stand in this country that the organizers of the violent January 6th insurrection on our Capitol are now the ones organizing this nation's 250th celebration?
Yeah, it says the country's a racket right now, and it's run no different from any type of banana republic that's run by a corrupt oligarchy at the top. Usually those types of governments combine corruption with comic incompetence, and that's what we're seeing on the National Mall. You just can go back and watch the archive video, or some of my co-panelists were there at the 200th anniversary 50 years ago, and it was not at a time without political controversy in the country. In 1976, you're coming off of Vietnam, coming off of Watergate, but yet it was a celebration for everybody, no matter what their party was, no matter what their religion was, to come and honor the people that had served America and the traditions of America that we're trying to aspire to. And that's not what this is. This is just partisan hackery, combined with, a Trump casino grift. That's all that's left here. And it's no wonder that not many people want to attend that.
Yeah. And there is something a little bit more dangerous to this, Rev. The report also highlights the connection between white nationalists and this event. And I'm going to read a part of it. It said, quote, the White House set out to refashion the semi-quincentennial into a mouthpiece for those who want to break down the firewall between church and state and enshrine their preferred kind of Christianity as the de facto national religion. Their agenda fuses Christian white supremacist identity with history revisionism, insisting that the nation's founding, its laws, and our fundamental rights are rooted in the Christian Bible. The White House paired its extreme religious doctrine with a sustained effort to erase from public memory the parts of American history the president would rather forget, including slavery. Talk to us about that, Rev, how emboldened they have become under the Trump administration to try and exclude that part of our history.
Well, they've become emboldened because they have a president that will back them up and give them all the support they need to, in fact, act as if being bigoted, racist, homophobic, xenophobic, or in many cases misogynist, is being patriotic. The fact of the matter is that the stated goals, July 4th, 1776, talked about freedom of religion, talked about why they were breaking with the monarchy. Though they did not live up to many of those goals then, the celebration of this country is that there never was a time we were not stopping and moving toward fulfilling it. So even though my people were slaves in 1776 and then faced segregation and then faced a second-class citizenship, people kept fighting, black and white, to where we got the right to vote. We eventually elected a black president and reelected that black, and a black woman vice president. So the celebration is the evolution of America around stated goals. This administration has been the one to declare war on the progress made in terms of making this country, as Dr. King said, live up to the true meaning of his creed. And there being grifters at the same time is not enough just to be a supremacist and being a distorter. You also have to be a hustler at the same time.